Let's get real here. You're an expert in your profession and industry. You are not a professional resume writer, but you know that you're a capable person. In fact, you've often been complimented on your writing ability. So you decide to take the task on yourself. After all, how hard can it be to write a resume? But when you sit down to write and the words don't flow like you expected, when you have no idea what to include and what to exclude, when the words you do manage to put on paper just don't come out like you want them to, when you struggle with the formatting and design, finally you have to admit it. It's hard to write about yourself. Writing an effective resume is very difficult, particularly if you want your resume to stand out, to get attention, and to generate real results. Newsflash, professional resume writers have real measurable value to offer you, the career professional. No CEO would ever consider going to market with a multi-million-dollar product without enlisting the marketing and copywriting help of experts. But that's exactly what you are doing when you attempt to compete in the job market with a self-written resume. Hiring a professional resume writer could be one of the most important investments you ever make for your career. But in the meantime, here are some of my trade secrets as a professional resume writer that will help transform your resume from a bland, boring autobiography into a compelling, persuasive, and powerful marketing pitch. Number 1, focus, focus, focus. If you don't know where you're going, the reader of your resume won't either. Your career will miscarry if you have no aim. This is true whether you're seeking to move up the corporate ladder, trying to make a move to a new employer, or trying to make a complete career shift. Focus. It's the foundation of your entire career, your job search, and your resume. Write your resume so that your focus is immediately crystal clear with no more than a glance. So how do you do this? Well, there are numerous techniques, but the most common is a headline statement that immediately conveys who you are, what you offer, and how it will fit in the reader's organization. But don't stop there. Keep your focus in mind as you write your entire resume. Be strategic about what you include and what you highlight. Above all, don't be afraid to exclude irrelevant facts that don't add value to your candidacy. Irrelevant data in a resume will dilute the focus and will leave the reader confused and unsure. And trust me, a confused reader isn't going to take the time out of their busy day to try and figure it out themselves, or even just to call you for clarification. Be clear. Focus. Now, number 2, it is all about the employer. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive. Your resume is a document about you, after all. Well, yes, that's true, but only in so much as it is about what you have to offer to the employer. Remember the purpose of your resume, to market you as the ideal candidate for a particular job or type of job. Try to put yourself in the mind of the employer. What is the person looking for in a candidate? What problems does the employer have that you can solve? What are the employer's goals that you can help achieve? Whatever the answers are to the above questions, it is paramount that you keep a simple fact in mind. Employers are making an investment when they hire a new employee. And as with any investment, the hope and the expectation is that the investment will produce returns that are greater than the cost. Your job in your resume is to persuasively convince the employer that you will deliver greater returns on their investment in hiring you than the other applicants. So how do you do that? Well, you do it by including examples that illustrate how you have reduced value for past employers. Even better if you can find a way to strategically tie those examples back to the needs that you have identified as being particularly important to the recipient of your resume. Prove to the employer that you will make them money, save them money, increase efficiency, or solve a challenging problem, and you will not only capture their attention, but give them an undeniable reason to pick up the phone and call you to learn more. Number 3, differentiate yourself. Who are you competing against for the job you most want? This may be the most overlooked aspect of writing a standout resume. Now, I'm not suggesting that you turn into a spy and violate anyone's privacy. Rather, think in terms of the typical applicant. What are the qualifications that he or she brings to the table? What degrees or other credentials will the typical applicant possess? What will have been their career path up to this point? What types of accomplishments will he or she claim? Now take the time to assess how you match up. Do you have the same baseline qualifications? Are there some you lack? If so, file this info away for the next step. What do you bring to the table that is different from your typical competition? What are you known for being excellent at? In all of your past experience, what have your coworkers or bosses relied on you for? While it's important for your resume to touch on the ways that you meet the baseline qualifications, to really stand out and shine, your resume should showcase the factors and the value offering that differentiates you. This is what will compel the reader to pick up the phone and call you for an interview, not the fact that you have exactly the same qualifications of every other applicant. Number 4, be strategic about overcoming the problems. Nobody is perfect. Almost everyone has something that they worry might prevent them from making the cut for a desired job. Maybe your degree is in the wrong field. Perhaps you were unemployed for 6 months a few jobs ago. Have you had a position that was terminated for any reason? Or maybe you worry that you're too old or too young. Or maybe in your assessment of the competition, you realize that you were lacking some key qualification. Whatever it is, it's important not to ignore it. Now, that advice does not mean that you do anything to call out the problem in your resume. Instead, it means that you must honestly assess your possible shortcomings and then think strategically about how you will address them in your resume. This may mean deflecting attention from a potential negative factor. It may mean calling more attention to positives that neutralize the problem. Or it may mean rethinking the way that you structure the information that you include on your resume. Now, and that brings us to the final tip. Number 5, don't be afraid to throw the rules out the window. Writing an effective resume is an art, it's not a science. Consider the rules of resume writing to be more akin to guidelines. The only rule that is set in stone is that you must be absolutely honest. But honesty doesn't require that your resume confess it all, either the good or the bad. Once again, remember that your resume is a marketing document, an advertisement of you and the benefits that you would bring to a company. Will it make your case stronger to include a particular qualification, exclude another, to completely restructure your resume to emphasize some experience from long ago, or to think completely outside the box in the way you present the data in your background? Rigid templates, structures, and rules are not to your benefit. You're an individual, and your resume needs to be as well. Be strategic, think creatively, ensure that you're meticulously honest, but write your resume so that it presents you in the most flattering light. And so, here we are back at the beginning again. Now, once again, you're slaving over your resume, wondering if you're including the right things and worrying that it might not even matter anyhow because who would take the time to read it? Writing your resume is still hard work, even with the tips that I've shared with you from my playbook. But don't give up. A standout resume will make an immense difference in your career. It is worth the time and effort to get it right. You only have one shot to make a first impression. You can't afford to blow it with a bland, lackluster resume. A standout resume will shorten your job search, save you time and money. It will competitively position you for the most desirable jobs, many times catapulting careers to higher professional levels faster than anyone would imagine possible. And of particular interest to many people, a well-written resume makes a compelling case for the return on investment that you would deliver as an employer. This factor alone will often positively influence the compensation package that you're offered and will give you powerful negotiating leverage to increase compensation even higher. Yes, writing a resume is hard work. No, you are not a professional resume writer. But with these tips, you will be well on your way to creating an outstanding resume. And if you do make the CEO decision to invest in your own multi-million-dollar career and hire help from a professional resume writer, these tips will give you the background to collaborate with your resume writing consultant to create a knockout resume that catapults your career to new heights.